What music they make.
Sejam bem-vindos a mais um podcast de Metal Global. Hoje a conversa é com Chad Green dos Frozen Soul. A banda norte-americana tem um novo álbum intitulado No Place of Worms. Antes da conversa com Chad Green, me quero mais lembrar que há a versão rádio deste programa, em exclusivo na RTP Play. É passar por lá e procurar por Metal Global. Agora, se são fãs do som mais pesado, preparem-se. Os norte-americanos Frozen Soul lançaram recentemente o seu terceiro álbum de estúdio, intitulado No Place of Worms, e promete ser um autêntico murro no estômago, equilibrando a ferocidade do death metal e do hardcore com melodias marcantes. Mais do que a agressividade dos riffs, a banda de Dallas traz-nos um disco conceptual sobre as lutas diárias e as realidades mais frias da vida, servindo de mensagem de força e superação para todos os fãs. É um lançamento obrigatório e a não perder de vista. Para contar tudo sobre esta novidade No Place of Worms, a conversa é com o vocalista dos Frozen Soul, Chad Green.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hello, Chad. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Everything is good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you and see you perfectly.
Does my sound ridiculously loud or something?
No. Actually, it sounds quite good.
Okay.
I've seen.
Cool.
I heard worse.
Well, the last interview I did on this, I just got home from Europe last night, so I had the last interview I did on here was I don't really use this very often. Most of the time I just do like FaceTime or something. And there's an automatic adjustment setting that you could do. And it was automatically adjusting the gain to my microphone to be like 1,000%. So like I could hear myself so loud out of nowhere. And I would literally physically adjust it right here. And then it would put it all the way back up again. And I'd be like, what the hell is going on? Like, it was, and so the whole time I was on the interview, I was looking at the camera, but I had my hand to the side, and every time I heard it go up, I would adjust it down and have to not make a face or say something about it. So,
no, but it's good. I can hear you fine.
Cool.
Very
Awesome.
good. So you just came back from Europe. How was the European tour for you guys?
That was awesome. Yeah, we had a really good time. It was definitely different than what like we're used to in the States over the last couple of years. But yeah, it was good. We had a good time.
Had fun as well.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely like a different experience for us because we we've done a tour over there with Dying Fetus, and then we did the festival runs, and then we did a headliner and everything over there. And they were the festivals were big, obviously, and then the Dying Fetus shows were medium size. Some of them were pretty large, and then the headliner show were medium size shows, and these were huge shows.
Yeah,
huge. So they were so the Munich show was over 5,000 people. It was crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some shows because, Heaven Shall Burn has just got a massive German fan base.
Yeah.
They're huge over there. So it was awesome.
Really
cool.
Yeah. Heaven Shall, and they're good, I mean, they're big and they're good. So, it's great for you guys. And, No Place of Worms. When did you guys start working on the songs for the album?
I mean, we've had some stuff going for probably 2 or 3 years. We've had some riffs, but in all honesty, for this record, we did most of it in the studio.
So it was a different experience.
Yeah, it was definitely a different experience. We went out to Michigan for basically 6 or 7 weeks, and we just grinded it out. We had very few things we were happy with, and then we got with Josh, and we basically spent the first 2 weeks figuring out what the hell we were going to do. and then kind of did some stuff and then had to go back and redo some stuff. And then 2 weeks in, we kind of locked in and figured out what our game plan was going to be. And then we just like ran with it and went and basically revamped everything we did. So like everything we came up with in the past, like some of these riffs we've had since Crypt of Ice.
Okay.
Back in the day. So, you know, it was a combination of stuff. But yeah, we spent a lot of time, like we would spend 8 hours in the studio and then the rest of the time at night we would be in the basement writing music. So yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it was stressful, but it was awesome.
Do you think that kind of pressure in a way kind of pushed the band a bit more on these records?
Yeah, I mean that's how we are though in general. Like we're like the type of people that like we need the pressure. Like we need the pressure to be on for us to like lock in and get what we need to get done. Because if not, we're all procrastinators. So we need a fire to get lit under our ass, and that's like exactly what happened. So we felt the pressure, but like it like we honestly feel like this is the best record we've ever written. So,
and nowadays it's easy to get distracted with anything, really. If you don't have that pressure, if you don't have anyone annoying you, you can get easily distracted. You know, I get easily distracted myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same. I mean, dude, you just can't even like, I can't even put into words, honestly, like exactly how, just exactly how crazy it is to try and do all this stuff.
But you guys been very, very busy. That, you know, when you started the band, you were expecting, I mean, obviously when you start a band, you dream, you know, you imagine things. But how is, you know, when you started, what you were wondering what it could be and what's happening now, is getting beyond your expectations, or you still think there's, you know, the dream is still pretty much up there?
I mean, the dream is always just to like keep doing it, you know? Like the dream was never to be like, well, I mean, I won't say it wasn't a dream to be like a bigger band, you know? I still don't think we're definitely not like we may be a bigger band than we were, but I don't think we're a big band, you know? But like, I think, there's still room for us to grow, you know? We're getting like bigger tours and stuff like that. But like the dream was always to just like play shows and write music. That's literally it. I mean, I don't know. I've always just been, and we've always just been people that wanted to play music. So it's like trying to make that happen, make that our lives, you know? That's like the ultimate dream, the ultimate goal. But I think like things just took a turn in Frozen Soul, you know? And like people started like messing with it and liking what we were doing. And so it's just kind of kept growing, and we just kind of leveled up a little bit here and there, you know, and just kept moving forward. And it hasn't changed at all. Like as far as like our goal, it's the same. We just want to push and push and push and push and laugh to see how far we can actually get, you know, being like this stupid death metal band from Texas, you know.
Well, you know, when I listen to Frozen Soul, I get thrown back, you know, to the early days of death metal coming from Florida. I'm talking about Obituary, you know, and bands like that. And, you know, nowadays there's a lot of new bands, a lot of styles, a lot of bands mixing styles. But you guys pretty much, you know, are in that old school, you know, really slow, groovy death metal. It was always that the goal was something that you guys, when you guys started, were like, okay, this is something that it's actually good that we can do.
Yeah, I mean, we've always just kind of like, you know, I hope this answers the question right. We just want to keep it simple. You know, we like want to play music that we like, and, you know, old school death metal and like, you know, hardcore and stuff like that is like all stuff that we liked a lot. And naturally, you know, you want to play what you like. And there's, you know, a lot of newer bands doing their own thing, and it's like really cool and everything. But like we like the old way, really, you know, like the way the grooves were, the way like just like the era of old school, like, you know, late 80s to mid 90s death metal, you know, just like sounded awesome. Like it was just, it had a cool sound to it. The groove hit, it had an attitude, you know, and we just wanted to do that, you know, play that kind of music. And, you know, it's like kind of transitioned a little bit beyond just doing that to the point now where like, we just want to have fun. Yeah. You know, so we've been just like doing everything we can to make the songs as fun as possible and stuff. So it, you know, but it's still in its roots. It's the exact same thing we've always wanted to do. Band's always just been about having fun.
Yeah. You know, but you know, listening to Frozen Soul, for me, it's like, you know, again, as I said, there's a lot of bands, a lot of, you know, styles nowadays and everybody mixing stuff. But you have that, I would say the X factor, but you have that thing that makes me focus on what you're doing and listening to you, you know, because we don't listen to that kind of death metal anymore in a way. And it's not nostalgia. It's just brings, you know, it's good to see a band, you know, grinding and just having those heavy riffs and, you know, the voice really, you know, really brutal. It's not something that you hear a lot these days. And maybe that's, you know, it's a good thing for you guys to have, you know, that edge in that sense that, you know, makes you stand out from a lot of the newer bands in a way.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's not as much a part of our like thought process, you know, as how do we like stand out. It's just we know what we like, you know, and like there's like, you know, there's no shade at like deathcore or anything, but like to me, like a lot of those vocals sound kind of like very similar. They're very technique focused, and I'm like a cave person. I don't have a technique. Like I go about it like Corpse Grinder does, you know, like the old school guys do. I just ruin my throat every day, you know, and I never said it was smart, you know, I just don't know how to do it any other way. I try to do techniques and I'm whispering and sound, and to me, I just don't sound like those guys that could do it really good, you know, but it's like, I don't know. We like the way it was done in the old school. It was like kind of raw, you know, like everything was a little bit more airy sounding and just, you know, I don't know. We just like that sound. That sound always felt more hard hitting than like, you know, crazy super production and layering vocals like super crazy. No, we have that stuff on this record. Like it's definitely a heavier production and it's a more, it does have a modern, you know, tinge to the production. Like we wanted some of that stuff because we enjoy that stuff too, you know. But like as a band, as Frozen Soul, when we play what we play and the way we write our music, we don't write with like laptops really and stuff. We like write all of our music in the room together, you know, so it's like got a natural feel to it, you know, because that's just the only thing that feels right to us. Yeah. So I think that's what makes us, you know, we write music like the old school guys did for the most part, you know, so.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, that's a good way to, I mean, you know, every way is valid. You can see a lot of the older guys writing in a new way, putting stuff to the cloud and let other guys work on it. Nothing wrong with that. But, you know, I think there's a sense of authenticity when everybody's together and when you record and when you listen. I think you can feel it more. Nothing against too modern productions, but sometimes it seems to be so perfect that it just sounds wrong. You know?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I know a lot of people talk about that. I don't personally have like I don't usually think about that. Honestly, when I like listen to bands, I don't really think like that's too perfect. Because I'm like I said, I'm a cave person. So like, I'm like, is it heavy? And, you know, and it's like, there's a lot of bands that do insane shit on their recording and they can do insane shit live. Yeah. But it's like, as long as it feels powerful on the recording and powerful live, I'm cool with it, you know, but just, we don't know how to do all that shit, man. Like we just don't know how to do it. I mean, luckily working with Josh on the new record, like he showed us light on some things, but we still wrote everything like together. The only song that like we kind of wrote in the studio, like on the spot, was No Place of Warmth, you know, but that was like, written very much like we write our other songs, you know, and it was based off of riffs that we had already had. So in melody we already had, and all the lyrics and stuff, you know, I write like, you know, I usually write those majority of them by myself, and then some every now and then, like I'll ask Sam for help, and you know, or everybody will like throw in their 2 cents, or sometimes my brother Josh will help, and then Josh the producer helped with some stuff when we were actually going to like set the songs up with everything I was working on out there. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like it's modern, but it's still got that old school vibe, you know. Yeah.
And you know, you mentioned lyrics. Normally, what does inspire you or triggers you to write a lyric?
I mean, I could probably talk about this like all day, you know, but it's like, I don't really have like a very short answer for this, but, you know, I like start off by like trying to find concepts and things that I like, because I like stuff that's badass. You know, I like fantasy and sci-fi and horror and stuff like that, but like inevitably what that starts off my feel for the song based on the aggression of the song. But like what I always go to is like emotion, you know, and like the things and experiences that I've been through in life and the things that my friends and family have been through, you know, and I use that as the whole purpose behind Frozen Soul. So it all basically boils down to mental health and, you know, the struggles that we face every day. And that's my grand like motivation for these songs. I mean, they may sound super brutal or whatever, you know, but in their essence, it's about, you know, battling, you know, depression and battling life and the cold nature of reality and stuff. And it's just it's something you don't have to like talk about and make very known in the song. It's just like, I try to use things in a general sense so that you can kind of pull your own meaning out of it, because like when I was a kid, I didn't have money to buy records and get in, and I lived in like a real poor neighborhood, and I didn't have a lot of friends that listened to like music like, you know, this and stuff, so I didn't have a way to look up lyrics. So when I would hear something on the radio or a Metallica song or whatever, like I would pull out that one word that I heard and I'd focus on that. And sometimes I'd make my own meaning up to the song, you know, so I write Frozen Soul lyrics exactly like that. So you can kind of feel empowered to get through the shit you need to get through in your everyday life. And that right there is like the motivating thought in my head, you know, and then I use my own personal experiences with loss and grief and depression to kind of fuel, you know, everything, paired with that trying to make a badass sort of horror vibe or fantasy action vibe, you know, and kind of bring that to like bring my stage persona into the music too, because I'm, you know, I have this whole wrestler kind of, you know, thing that I do on stage and everything, and so we try to bring that all into the music. So that's sort of the whole motivation behind it, you know.
Yeah.
Not a short answer. I can go into detail. I kind of skimmed it. But.
No, but it's fine. I think, you know, that's one thing with men. Sometimes it's men find hard to talk about their feelings and what they're going through. And, you know, I know that myself. I've been to a psychologist several times, you know. Sometimes we need that help. And sometimes people, I have friends that say, well, why don't you talk? It's like, because some of this stuff, it's not easy to talk about. And I don't know if you want to listen to it, or even if you would even understand, you know, what I'm trying to tell you. So it's a very touchy subject, and I don't think there is a perfect answer, you know, for, you know, what someone is going through. But, you know, you found a way of expressing yourself, you know, in a way. And that's, you know, that's a good thing that you have. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do, I'm sure, but at least you found a way. My way was just trying to go to a psychologist when I could afford one and get that shit out there.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
And you know, on this record, and you got a few guests, and you know, for me, got Gerard Way, and of everyone, I didn't think Gerard Way would be one to to be singing a bit on the Frozen Soul record. So how did, I remember, My Chemical Romance on the Black Parade tour. I did to go see a show in London, and then I saw them in Portugal. But how did that came about to, first of all, to ask him to sing, and he said, okay, let's do it.
I mean, that's literally what happened. That's all that happened. I mean, that's really the extent of it. It's funny reading the comments online, because like the comments go so crazy. People have all sorts of these like wild things in their heads on how it happened, and they must have paid all this money and stuff. And it's like, Gerard is just like a really good dude. And he's very talented. He's very creative. He's got like a wonderful mind, and he's a sweet person. And we met through like just, love and metal, basically. I mean, he got introduced to us by Sarah from Youth Code, which I actually found out talking to him recently, because I always thought it was his friend and security guy that introduced him to us. But he found out about us on our like first record. And we started talking during the glacial domination times, and he brought us out to a show in Dallas, and then he came out to a show we were doing with Napalm Death in LA, and we talked and stuff, and we kind of kept in touch and just talked here and there about synth and all this different stuff, and we were doing stuff for the record, and we were talking, and I just hit him up, and I was like, hey dude, like, you want to sing on a new Frozen Soul song? And he was just like, yeah. And I kind of just like spun it, because I thought about it, but it's like he just was all down. He was totally down for it, and then didn't charge us money for it, or he was just a cool dude, wanted to be a part of something like that, wanted to be a part of a death metal song, and and he likes what we're doing, and supports it, and was all for it. So yeah, it was really, really awesome how it came about. And I don't know, at first I didn't even think it was gonna really happen, because he's a super busy dude. He's got so much stuff, I can't even comprehend it, but he nailed it, and sent it back, and he took like a lot of time to like really get his parts the way he thought did the song justice, and it was awesome, turned out great.
Cool. And you have Machine Head also, on this record, and Sanguisuga Bog. Sanguisuga Bog, it's it makes sense in a way. Yeah. But Machine Head was good to hear Rob there as well. So it was something like Gerard Way, you just asked, and they said, cool, let's do it.
Yeah. It's crazy that it worked out like that. It's really awesome, really cool. Rob's part, he's in the music video too. That's actually coming out in like 3 days. But yeah, he took a lot of ownership in the song himself, for that song, because that song's a really important song and a follow-up to Arsenal of War from our last record. So it's like very pain focused, and like it's very much about like kind of that inner battle you have with loss and blame and guilt, and not letting it kind of control you, and he, during his whole vocal part, I didn't have any lyrics right there except for the same lyrics at the beginning of the song, just invoke war and I invoke war. That's it. He wrote that whole entire part that he sings. He wrote the whole thing. He took it all, like, he matched the song's like energy, and he took ownership in it, and we all kind of hold up our trinkets from loved ones in the video, and he holds up his, and it's really cool. Like I'm super proud of that collab too, because Rob was very much like, we were like, yeah, we film your part, and it could just be like in this, just in a dark room and stuff. And he's like, no, I gotta be behind bars. I gotta be beaten up like you guys. Like I gotta look like he was invested in it, and it's awesome. Yeah. And I can't wait to perform that song with him. I can't wait to perform the No Place with Gerard too. It's gonna be sick too. But But yeah, I'm really stoked. And with Devin, it just, like you said, it just made sense. Devin, sing with Sugabog, they're great guys. They've, you know, we've come up together, you know, touring constantly, and we've toured together and played shows together, and, you know, been friends for a long time now. So, you know, I've always wanted to perform something with Devin because, you know, he's an inspiration to me. We go through a lot of the same things on the road, you know, and so to be able to look at my friend and be like, holy shit, yeah, he's staying fit and he's like out there busting his ass and, you know, doing this and doing that. It's like, it motivates me. Yeah. You know, and so I was like, fuck, we got to get Devin on a song. And of course, Devin was like, hell yeah, let's go, you know. But we didn't really go past that. You know, we decided to not do as many features on this record and really try to have like each song carry its weight of the record. And yeah, super stoked about it.
Yeah, it's a great record. And, you know, I think this album will take you guys places. And, you know, you mentioned like doing a lot of tours and festivals. Is there like a dream tour that you would like to do? You know, now we're talking about, you know, if we lived in a perfect world, if all, you know, the planets would align, all that stuff, what would be like the dream tour for you guys?
I mean, I don't know, touring with like Slayer or Metallica, honestly, would be amazing. But I mean, like, to be honest, like, I it's hard for me to think that far, man. Like, I don't really have a dream tour, you know. I guess my dream tour would be touring with all my friends, you know, like a tour with like Sango Sugabog and us and 200 Stab Wounds and Creeping Death and Tribal Gaze and, you know, just like a lot of our friends' bands, you know, just have a big, massive tour, you know, where we all just get to go out together and have fun and stuff. That's like that would be the ultimate fun time, I think, for me. But yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, touring with big bands like, you know, Creator and stuff like that, and, you know, but like at the end of the day, like, we've already toured like with Cannibal Corpse. Like, they're like that's like one of my all-time favorite bands. That would be the dream band, you know, and we've toured with them and hope to again, you know. But it's like we've gotten like so many awesome opportunities, you know, and it's like I'll tour with anybody. Yeah. We'll tour with anybody, you know. Yeah. I mean, we have another dream tour that's in the winter where it's not announced yet, you know. So like that's like a pretty big one for us. So but it's like we're just like stoked to just keep getting to tour. Yeah. That the dream is to just keep touring. Yeah.
Being able to go on the road and make records, that's the dream. That's great.
Just keep being able to make it happen, you know, because every year it's like, God, you never know what's going to happen. It just gets in the way. I mean, look, gas prices are pretty crazy right now. They're getting even crazier.
Don't even start that with us here. It's going, you know, I got my car just outside the house and, you know, I can work from home, which is the best thing. And I avoid at all costs driving the car at the moment.
Yeah, it's insane, man. Yeah. Yeah, gas. I'm going to get into it. It's just the cost of living everywhere. And even when we went to Europe, it was nuts. Yeah. Like we're used to going over to Europe and the UK and stuff and it being cheaper. Yeah. Like when we spend US dollars over there, it's like cheaper and we get more. And now it was the complete opposite. Yeah. Like we went over there and everything was like every meal turned out to be 30, 40 US dollars. It was like insane. Yeah. Like we were like, how are people living over here? How are people living? And then we come back home and it's like more expensive too. And we're like, God, what is going on? You know,
we're surviving, man. We're not living, we're surviving.
Yeah, we're surviving. Exactly. Crazy, man.
And so that tour that you mentioned is going to be for Europe or North America?
It's North America.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And for Europe, is there any plans for the end of the year or next year maybe?
We don't have any like in stone plans right now, but like we are working on a headliner for early next year. But yeah, I mean, like this record is kind of just like, I mean, honestly, like wasn't really expecting the reaction that we got. it's been a lot bigger of a reaction than we figured it would be. So I don't know what could happen, honestly, but yeah, we're definitely going to come over there again at some point. So sometime soon.
Cool. I'll be looking forward to that. Chad, thank you very much for your time. All the best for Frozen Soul. No Place of Worms is a fucking amazing record. You guys have done it again. It's really, really good. So hopefully that will, take you to, bigger tours, bigger places, bigger everything. So hopefully we'll see you guys back in Europe soon, and in Portugal. You haven't been here, I don't think.
No.
So
would love to.
We need to fix that shit.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know we looked at a route for Europe for early next year, and it's got a bunch of places on it we haven't played before. So
cool.
Stoked. I don't remember if Portugal's on there, but well, I know we're playing like places like Spain and stuff like that, or we will. So I'm stoked.
So if you play Spain, normally it's not that far from Portugal, but I know it's complicated because we really are at the end of Europe, so or the beginning, depends on how you view things.
Where you go in, yeah.
Shad, thank you very much for your time. All the best for Frozen Soul, and hope to see you guys soon. All right, thank you so much. Man. Thank you.
Yeah,
bye bye.
Good one.
Bye. Metal Global foi conversa com Chad Green, vocalista dos Frozen Soul. O novo álbum No Place of Worms já está disponível. Tem a versão rádio deste programa em exclusivo na RTP Play, a passar por lá e procurar por Metal Global. Se tiverem dúvidas ou sugestões, podem enviar e-mail jorge.botas@rtp.pt. Visitem o site metalglobal.pt e sigam-me no Twitter e Instagram @mountainking. Façam like na página do Facebook do Metal Global e se estão a ouvir em Apple Podcasts, Spotify ou YouTube Music, subscrevam para não perder nenhum episódio. Eu volto no próximo programa. Um forte abraço.
Children of the night, you will live through the centuries to come, as I have lived. Good night. Good night.